Practical Anarchy, A Guide to Self-Determination. Dickie Dreads. Chapter 67. Obstacles and Resistances. Psychological. Fear of scarcity, mistrust, status addiction. One of the most powerful barriers to a money-free, resource-based society lies not in material shortage, but in the human imagination. For centuries, people have been conditioned to assume scarcity as the natural order, a belief reinforced by capitalist markets that thrive on artificial shortage and manufactured desire. Even when abundance is technologically achievable, many cannot envision sufficiency without price tags. This links to deep cultural habits of mistrust. If I cannot measure my worth in money, how do I know others will contribute fairly? In capitalist realism, the market has become so naturalised that to picture life outside it is almost impossible. Layered onto this is status addiction. Wealth, possessions and career titles provide people with identity in societies where community and mutual recognition have been eroded. To abandon money would mean abandoning a key marker of self, a leap few feel able to take. Institutional. States and corporations built on monetary power. Institutions designed around money will not surrender it easily. Modern states rely on taxation and debt assurance, while corporations are literally defined as legal entities for capital accumulation. Global structures such as the IMF and the World Bank lock countries into repayment cycles, as explored earlier, when we talked about money as control. Political elites depend on these financial flows not only to fund governance but to maintain patronage networks. Corporations, likewise, are built to extract surplus value. The boards, shareholders and legal codes cannot conceive of value that is not monetary. Attempts to bypass money, whether through commons projects, open source collaboration or local currencies, are repeatedly confronted with regulatory hurdles, corporate co-option or outright suppression. States and corporations are symbiotic with money. Dismantling one entails dismantling the other. Case study: Mondragon Cooperative. The Basque-based Mondragon Cooperative is often cited as a successful large-scale cooperation, employing tens of thousands in worker-owned businesses. On the surface, it appears to challenge capitalist logic. Workers vote, share profits and co-own their enterprises. Yet Mondragon has faced immense pressure from global markets and state structures. To survive, it has relied on conventional banking systems, competitive pricing and international outsourcing. Critics argue it has been forced to act like any other corporation, adopting hierarchical management and exploiting labour abroad, because existing institutions demand compliance with monetary logic. The lesson is sobering. Even well-organised cooperatives risk being absorbed or disciplined by the wider systems unless broader transformations take place. Suppression of grassroots experiments. Other experiments that attempt to bypass money face similar obstacles. Community currencies such as the Let's schemes that proliferated in the 1990s often attract hostility from governments and banks, which viewed them as threats to fiscal control. In some cases, taxation laws were adjusted to bring such projects under tighter regulation, undermining their autonomy. Free and open source software movements have likewise faced corporate capture, major companies adopting community-built tools while enclosing their benefits with proprietary models. These patterns show how quickly alternatives are either suppressed or co-opted by institutions determined to preserve monetary dominance. Ideological. Human nature arguments and capitalist realism. Perhaps the hardest resistance is ideological. Defenders of capitalism insist that money, competition and hierarchy are simply expressions of human nature. Anthropological evidence contradicts this. From indigenous gift economies to medieval commons, humans have long organised without markets as their axis. But the myth persists because it benefits those in power. Returning to Mark Fisher's argument that capitalist realism makes it easier to imagine the end of the world than the end of capitalism, we find this ideology reproduced. This ideology is reproduced in schools, media and even art, embedding a sense of inevitability. Challenges to money are therefore met not only with scepticism but often with ridicule, dismissed as naive, utopian, or dangerous. Until these narratives are confronted, even technological abundance will be reframed through the old lens of markets and profits. Barriers are not destiny. The obstacles to a resource-based society are formidable. Psychological conditioning, institutional entrenchment, and ideological myths all work to preserve money's grip. Yet history reminds us that such barriers are not insurmountable. Just as religion and monarchy once seemed eternal, so too does money today. By naming these resistances clearly, we prepare the ground for the next step, examining the experiments and glimpses of alternative economies that already exist in practice, as explored earlier. These fragile seeds show that, despite the weight of institutions and ideology, cracks in the edifice of money have already begun to appear.